Thank you, Nathan, for that thought-provoking look at technology and the responsibility we carry in shaping a more human future. Now, let's shift from the systems around us to the stories within us. Our next speaker began her career as a television producer, working with major networks including CBS News, ESPN, and HBO Sports, before going on to found her own consultancy where she helps individuals and organizations use storytelling as a tool for leadership, communication, and growth. Today, she will explore how the stories we tell about ourselves and others shape our reality, and how embracing multiple perspectives can transform the way we see the world. Please welcome Valerie Gordon.
It's evening. I'm pulling out of a brightly lit indoor parking garage in an unfamiliar town 2 hours from home. I'm driving my husband's hybrid. It's fuel efficient, so made sense for the mileage of this quick day trip. I spent the day running workshops at a conference. They went well, but my extroversion bucket is fully depleted. I'm on sensory overload. I just can't people any longer. Plus, it's getting late, I have a long drive home, I'm tired, the sky is already dark. I pull out onto Main Street. Waze shows the highway entrance is about 8 miles ahead. From there, I know my way home, and I can put on some music and just relax. There aren't many cars on the road, but there is one right behind me, and that car flashes its headlights at me. And then, again. I look in my rearview mirror, but all I see are those bright lights aimed directly at me. Do I know you? What do you want? The third time they flash those headlights, I feel my first flash of irritation, uncertainty, even fear. My mind inexplicably goes to a random Facebook post I once scrolled past that said, if you're ever driving alone and someone repeatedly flashes their brights at you, not to pull over. You might get carjacked. I'm being silly. I just need to get to the highway. They flash their lights again and honk their horn. What a jerk. Go around, I motion with my arms. Just pass me if I'm going too slow. They do just that, speeding up, but rather than pass, they're now driving directly alongside me, which is a little weird. I won't panic. Just ignore this crazy driver on the road. They honk their horn again, more insistently. I keep my gaze straight ahead. Do not make eye contact, do not engage. But now we've come to a red light. We're both stopped. There's nowhere to go, and they are right there next to me. Out of my peripheral vision, I see the passenger side window roll down. I hear the driver, a man, yelling something. I can't make out all the words, but it sounds like mocking. Lady, lady. My heart pounds faster. Should I call 911? Where is the nearest police station? Why is this light taking so long? Lady, he honks his horn again. What? I turn to look. I see the driver. He's gesturing at the front of my car. Is he giving me the finger? My fear turns to anger. I will not be intimidated. I roll down my window to confront this jerk behind the wheel, this menace on the road, this danger to society. And now I can both see and hear him. He's pointing at the front of my car. Lady, your headlights aren't on. I look down at my dashboard. Of course my headlights are, oh. No, they're not. Is it possible in that bright parking garage I turned them from auto to off and drove away without realizing it? I turn the knob again, and the road in front of me instantly brightens. Suddenly, everything is illuminated. I can see clearly. Thank you. I try to wave, but the light has turned green, and he's already gone. And I realize he was not the jerk behind the wheel, the danger on the roadway, the menace to society. I was. Driving at night without headlights, invisible to other cars, unable to see clearly myself. I could have hit something, been hit, caused an accident. He wasn't trying trying to harm me, he was trying to warn me and to help me. The story I'd been telling myself the entire time existed only in my own head. Later, I would wonder what kind of story the kind Samaritan in the next car might have told about me. Oh, this crazy lady from out of town was driving with her headlights off. I kept trying to get her attention, but boy, was she clueless. Same road, same circumstance, two people in the exact same story, in the exact same scene, but not the same story. How does that happen? In our own lives, we are the main character. It's our story, our journey. If you're familiar with the hero's journey, popularized by Joseph Campbell, that's the role we play, the hero. In the hero's journey, a protagonist is called to go out into the world to take on a challenge, battling obstacles and evil forces along the way, before emerging victorious and returning home with newfound growth. You are each the hero of your own story. And because you all look like perfectly lovely people, I hate to tell you this, you're all a bunch of villains as well. While we are starring as the hero in our own journey, we play a role in lots of other people's stories as well. In theirs, we might be a side character or a bit player at best. At worst, we are the villain, the obstacle, the challenge to be overcome. Sometimes we deserve and earn that title, but more often than not, you didn't audition for that role or even realize you've been cast in it. Actions we take that work for our journey may be problematic for someone else. Our stories butt up against each other, which is why sometimes when you're doing one thing, you're thinking you're doing the right thing, but you're not. After all, only one person can get the girl or land the promotion or take possession of that airplane armrest. Without even knowing it, you might be the antagonist in someone else's story, which, if you consider yourself to be a good person or a safe and courteous driver, might come as a bit of a surprise. It doesn't match the story we believe about ourselves. That's the difference between internal stories and external ones. Our inner stories are made up more of feelings than facts. Like the hit TV show Severance, we can think of our stories as having both innie and outie versions that don't connect. The external story is made up of occurrences that involve us. Those stories are experiential, tangible, environmental. Objectively, things are happening that others can observe or record. The internal story is abstract. It's psychological. It's a framework we use to process and make sense of the world. But like our brains, our inner stories are subjective. Many of us have what authors would call an unreliable narrator. On the roadway that night, I wasn't processing information. I was protecting my narrative. I'm a good person, a good driver. I'm not the problem. Our brains are wired to look for evidence that confirms what we already believe. If I believe the other driver is a threat, I will see every flash of light as aggression, every honk as hostility. We simply don't see the world as it is. We see it as we believe it to be. And we're quick to box others into roles based on single encounters. We see them as one-dimensional characters, not complete people. So, how do we build objectivity and look at the world from a vantage point other than our own? By practicing meaningful multi-perspectivity. Authors use multi-perspectivity to tell a story from more than one point of view. If you've ever read a book where narrators alternate between chapters, that's multi-perspectivity. That style of storytelling expands the experience for the reader because each character's viewpoint is shaped by their upbringing, their experiences, their personal traits. Same plot, different interpretations based from different narrators. Multi-perspectivity can explain why we see the world in widely varying ways. In this room today, you've all heard the same content. One of you might say, wow, that last speaker on storytelling, I loved her, that was great. And someone else might think, she was okay. Same program, different perspectives. And just before we move on, you would be right and you would be wrong, but that's just my perspective. The concept of multi-perspectivity asks us to consider just whose story is it? And based on whose story it is, how might that change who is the hero and who is the villain? Let me give you an example. When I was a kid, there was nothing more frightening than the Wicked Witch of the West from the original Wizard of Oz. I was Team Dorothy. So the Wicked Witch with her green skin and her cackling laugh and her flying monkeys, she used to show up in my nightmares. This was the face of a villain. But fast forward to Wicked, the most recent adaptation of this popular tale, and we get a different perspective. Elphaba, the Wicked Witch of the West, isn't the villain, she's the hero. We learn about her and we root for her. Glinda is actually the antagonist to Elphaba's protagonist, but Glinda's ability to grow throughout the story, to come to see and understand Oz through Elphaba's eyes makes her a hero as well. Their story is a collective one. Glinda and Elphaba coming together for good demonstrates that when we take the time to understand someone else's perspective, we open our opportunities for empathy, productive dialogue, and personal growth. Multi-perspectivity is something that's important in business as well. It's not just a literary device. What could be more valuable than being able to understand the perspective or get inside the head of the person sitting across the table from you, whether it's for sales, negotiations, a job interview? How might seeing the opportunity through their perspective help bring the story to a mutually satisfying conclusion? Perhaps the most helpful path to multi-perspectivity is understanding the concept of Sonder. I love this word. In the Dictionary of Obscure Sorrows, author John Koenig describes Sonder as the profound sudden realization that every random passerby is living a life as vivid and as complex as your own, while you're just a blink in their eye. Or, as your mother might have once said, no one's thinking about you. They're all too busy worrying about their own lives. Sonder is that moment you can look at that prickly cashier or group project participant who doesn't show up, or stranger on the roadway, and realize that they are the star of their own intricate, emotionally layered story. They have ambitions, fears and regrets, old wounds, future hopes, just like you. The concept of Sonder doesn't ask us to agree with everyone or anyone. It simply reminds us that everyone has a story we know nothing about that shapes their perspective. If we're to go onwards and upwards, as this event encourages us to do, perhaps we start first by going inwards, by truly listening to and questioning our own inner narrative, our very human tendency to make it all about us, our way of thinking, before expanding outwards, intentionally seeking to grow our perspective by asking questions. How might someone else, as a result of their own upbringing, hopes, and wishes, process an interaction differently than we do? What if we moved beyond our own certainty into curiosity and allowed that curiosity to build compassion? If we can build compassion and remain open to everyone's point of view, we can become better listeners, improve collaboration, and create a more inclusive society. For years, my storytelling consultancy used this tagline: it's your story, what happens next? My goal was to put individual clients in the driver's seat, creating the plot points necessary for their own success story. But maybe it's time to change that into a more multi-perspective approach. After all, our plot lines intertwine, intersect, and influence each other. Our stories converge, and we seek collaboration, not chaos. So perhaps a better question isn't just what happens next, but while you're starring in your own hero's journey, what role will you play in someone else's story? How might serving as a supporting character grow your own character? What might we learn from a little bit of multi-perspectivity? Consider this an open invitation to all the heroes in the room today to join together on this roadway. Turn your headlights on so that you can shine a light on what matters most. What matters most. It's our story. What happens next is up to each of us. Thank you.